My stepdad has incurable cancer, and now my mom expects me, at 18, to give up my future for her kids. He was diagnosed in May of 2024. He had surgeries and was considered to have no evidence of disease in April of 2025. My mom had concerns it would come back, as most pancreatic cancers do. Tuesday, they received a call saying a biopsy that had been done recently came back positive. Now it is in the lung and one of the lymph nodes. They told my mom and my stepdad it is incurable. They said the same thing about the one he beat in April of last year as well, though. I have a positive feeling about it because he showed zero signs of it having been back, unlike when he was originally diagnosed. I have two little sisters who are 3 and 6. Ever since being given a car, my responsibilities have increased. I pick up my sister from elementary school, which isn't much of a problem other than she gets out 30 minutes before I am scheduled for work nearly every day. I sleep with my 3-year-old sister, and I have since June of 2024. When he was considered to have no evidence of disease, I expected them to start sleeping with her, but excuses were given every time. He wakes up in the middle of the night, the lights will wake her up, or he coughs loudly. There were many more excuses. But then the situation took a much darker turn. I expected at max they would sleep with her once I turned 18, because it is not my responsibility to sleep with a child when they are sick, waking up in the middle of the night, or being clingy. Nothing seemed to have changed. I have a job, I am enrolled in college, and I have plans for myself in the future. In the nicest possible way to my mom, I do not want to be stuck taking responsibility for children that are not mine. Our family is not active in our lives, and we do not have a village. I am the village. When nobody can watch them, it falls on me. When nobody can drop them off at school or get them ready, it falls on me. After his recent diagnosis, my mom keeps having talks with me. She asks, "Do you think everything will be okay? If not, do you think we will survive?" When things get rough, my mom has a habit of stepping away. She did it with me when she and my dad got divorced 10 years ago and was rarely around. Knowing this situation would be even more drastic and painful, I know a majority of this will be put on me if the worst does take place in the future. She does genuinely everything, and she is the most amazing mom you could ask for. But I do not want to be in the parent position down the line. Am I the jerk? The top reply from user Pottersquash with 893 upvotes put it bluntly: not the jerk. I honestly think it is more important you say it to yourself than you telling her. I think you want to tell it to her because that will make it more real, but the realness of it must come from you. What you should say to her is that everything will be okay, but ask if they have made arrangements for the little ones. Tell her, "I am 18, I will be flying the nest soon, and it will help you not be worried if you sat down with stepdad and made sure you all have a plan, much like I have my plans for the future." Another commenter, user Fayesk, with 255 upvotes, weighed in. Well, your mom and stepdad decided to have kids as a unit. Not to be harsh, but your mom is still alive and well, and her kids are her responsibility, not yours. You have a right to the life you have planned for yourself. With her future at stake, the advice starts getting intense. It is nice to be helpful when you can, but all the responsibilities should not be yours. Your first responsibility is to yourself and your goals. Then user IcyMixture995 with 197 upvotes added, "Not the jerk, but you and your mom are in denial, however understandably. Stepdad has metastasized pancreatic cancer. He has maybe 18 months. Pancreatic pain is worse at night, which is why your sister cannot be in their room. Look after each other. We are all we have." Up next. A woman used me as a support pole in public, but her explanation is what made everyone stare. I was stunned and yelled, "What is your problem, lady?" She did not even look at me. She was a young woman, maybe in her 30s, who seemed perfectly normal. She was not an old woman who could barely walk. She did not say anything or even look at me. She just grabbed my arm and almost pulled me down to get herself up. Then she went to the front of the line and asked some young boys if she could cut. They said no. Then a fat, sleazy guy in a cyan shirt started aggressively telling them, "She is a handicapped woman." She started saying the same. Then she turned to me and yelled over the entire line, "That is why I grabbed you by the arm, because I have a handicap with my leg and I cannot pull myself up." It never occurred to her to give me a heads up or even look at me when she yoinked me. I yelled back, "Yeah, I get it, but can you at least say something when you do it?" Neither one of them said anything, and she just went to the window to order. But that wasn't the worst part. Now everyone in the line is looking at me. They almost kicked me out of the line, even though the guy in the back already tried to cut in front of me before. I help people with limited motor abilities all the time, but this lady expected everyone to just know she had a disability. I had to literally squint at her leg to see. On top of that, she started pulling people without looking at them. The top reply, with 335 upvotes, put it bluntly, "Not the asshole." As someone young who has mobility issues, she should have asked, or if it was emergent and she was going to fall, she should have said something or acknowledged you afterwards. Another reader, with 179 upvotes, weighed in. "You are definitely not the asshole here. That was wild. Grabbing someone without saying anything is just rude, disabled or not, and she could have at least communicated her situation instead of expecting you to guess." A third person, with 121 upvotes, added, "Not the asshole. A disability does not give someone license to treat you like inanimate furniture." Let me know in the comments which side you are on. Up next, a pile of my kids' clothes sat for a week, and my husband got mad. I'm also the family's primary breadwinner. I am a 26-year-old woman married to Mark, who is 28. We have 2 children, age 3 and 11 months. For the entirety of our relationship, I have been the provider. While Mark is doing much better now, he still does not make close to my income. I am also the default parent. We have a nanny, but because I work from home, I have the children frequently throughout the day because they need something. For example, my youngest is still breastfeeding, so I take her throughout the day to feed. I am also in charge of all scheduling, the nanny, and our house cleaner. My job is high earning and takes a lot of my time. When I am not working, I am with the kids, running them to play dates, practices, and parties. The problem is my husband always complains I do not do enough around the house. Most recently, I started going through the kids' clothes and got sidetracked, so they sat in a pile for a week. He got mad at me. I truly feel like I have no time left in the day. He is good at cleaning, but his screen time is very high compared to mine. I never get to just sit on my phone or watch TV. But then, things got even more one-sided. He also has a hobby that takes all weekend or all day Saturday because he says he needs a break. He is on his phone 75% of the time he is home. I am also in charge of all-night wake-ups because our baby still breastfeeds. I get no sleep, which might be making me cranky. Mark does have a physically demanding job, but when I bring these issues up, he gets defensive and says I nag or do not want him to have fun. The community feedback was blunt. One reply with 695 upvotes suggested a thought experiment. If Mark went away for a month, how would your life change? If you went away for a month, how would Mark's life change? Another reader with 278 upvotes argued that you should not divide chores, but divide free time. Work childcare, and housework are not free time. If his job prevents him from being an equal partner, he may need a different job. A final suggestion with 188 upvotes pointed out that with a nanny and a cleaner, you should not have constant interruptions. They suggested working from a coffee shop and finding your own hobby that requires an entire day away from the house. Up next, I threatened to return the hedgehog my son saved up for years, and he threatened to run away. My 13-year-old son has been struggling in school. I have tried everything. This week, I have gotten multiple emails from his teachers about rude and disrespectful behavior. He is not doing his schoolwork in class and has been begging to be homeschooled. I believe he thinks I am going to be an easier teacher, but I expect a lot more. I have even been trying to find employment that would make it easier for me to homeschool him. I am at my wits' end. Last year, for his birthday, I took him to a breeder to get a hedgehog. I made a deal that he would buy the hedgehog and the toys, and I would buy the food and bedding. He worked mowing lawns for a couple of years to afford his new pet, and had been consistent with wanting one. I made sure he researched the care of hedgehogs and asked him a lot of questions to ensure he was aware of the responsibility. I do not expect good grades, but I do expect effort. He simply does not care. After this last email, I came home and told him that if he does not get his grades up and at least try, he currently has 2 Fs and a D. By the end of the year, I will be calling the breeder and taking the hedgehog back. But that wasn't the worst part. He threatened to run away. My youngest, a 10-year-old boy, says he will hate me forever and never speak to me again. I realized I was being a jerk. The hedgehog stays. I apologized to him and told him what I did was wrong and will never do it again. He confessed he has been getting bullied by a couple of kids. It turns out the harassment is happening in the exact classes he is struggling with. His eyes got big when he made the connection. The plan now is to get him to a therapist for an official diagnosis for ADHD and autism, so we can set up an individualized education program. I will be sending an email to the teachers and the principal to make them aware of what is happening in class. One person pointed out that I was teaching my kids that pets are disposable and that it was a horrible example to set. Another noted that since he saved for years and paid for his own birthday gift, they would run away too. A third person added that this is a living, breathing pet, not a toy you take away. They suggested he might need a tutor or a checkup for ADHD, noting that they also hyperfixated on hedgehogs as a kid and even did a PowerPoint presentation to convince their mother they would be a good owner. Up next, my friend asked me to stop studying for finals to come sit with her toddler in a car. I am a 34-year-old woman, and I have a friend of the same age who is struggling with a messy house. She asked me to come over to help her clean, and I have done so several times now. This time, I cleaned her 2.5-year-old's room. It was quite bad, but I spent about 3 hours organizing toys and books and folding clothes. I was about to vacuum when she came in with the toddler. She then let the child help by picking up the piles of laundry and dumping them on the ground. An hour of folding was gone in seconds. Then she let her dump all the toys and decided she wanted to clean the closet, so she took everything out. I attempted to gently redirect the toddler, but there was not much I could do when the mom was right there finding it funny. I have 2 kids of my own who are 11 and 13, and I work with preschoolers. Because of that, I know I would never let my kid destroy somebody's work and laugh about it. I would have redirected them to another room. But that wasn't the worst part. After 3 hours of cleaning, when I should have been home studying, the room was not much better. She asks me to help her clean all the time. Her house is bad, and it is not entirely her fault, because she moved into a house from her in-laws with a ton of stuff already in it. But I don't want to help if she is just going to let it be undone in seconds. I feel like she is a very permissive parent. For example, she called me last night asking me to stop studying for my finals to drive over to sit in the car with her kid in her driveway, because the girl was refusing to get out and my friend needed to go inside to use the restroom. It had already been a half hour. I told her she needed to just take her inside, but she insisted she could not because the toddler rebuckled herself. I told her I could not come over, and she was annoyed. I feel like I am being taken advantage of. When I shared this story, people were blunt. Some said I am the jerk for remaining friends with this person and prioritizing her nonsense over my own studying. Others do not understand why I am cleaning her house at all, since she is an adult and it is her responsibility. They pointed out that I am her friend, not the help, and there is a big difference between a favor and being treated like a servant. What do you think? Am I overreacting, or is it time to set some serious boundaries? Up next, my parents' only rule exists because my brother's ex robbed the house. My sister just broke it. We both graduated from college and live at home. We both have jobs in the city, and it is easier to live at home and save money instead of spending $2,000 a month on rent. It is that or live outside the city and deal with a 45-minute drive of traffic. My parents' house is right outside the city, and it is a 10-minute drive. My parents literally have one main rule. No one is allowed to stay over without their permission. This is due to my oldest brother's ex-hookup. She robbed the house blind and caused a small fire. Everyone was fine, and after that, it was no longer bringing anyone to sleep over without our parents' approval. I do not really care because I find it weird to have sex in my childhood bed, so I am not bringing people home. My sister, on the other hand, hates this rule, and my parents and her argue about it quite often. They tell her to get a hotel or go to the guy's place if she wants to hook up with strangers. Anyway, my sister brought home a girl last night, and my parents found out. They found out because they saw her leave on the doorbell camera. But that wasn't the worst part. My parents were pissed and gave her a month to move out. It was a loud argument. My sister wanted me to talk with them, and I told her no. I told her that she knew the rules and why they are in place. She was pissed, and we got into an argument. She accused me of being jealous of her and her looks. I told her that I do not care. It went on for a while, and she is pissed I will not defend her against our parents. User Ducky818, with over 3,200 upvotes, put it bluntly. Not the jerk. She knew the rules and chose to break them anyway. Now she is trying to drag you into it. Stay out of it and let her be an adult and deal with her own problems. Another commenter, Wonderful26710, with over 1,300 upvotes, weighed in. Not the jerk. Parents do not have dozens of rules. They do not have 10 rules. They have one. All your sister had to do was abide by it. The only person she should be pissed at is the woman looking at her in the mirror. Adorable Strength 319, with 620 upvotes, added, she is saving a ton of money on rent. She can afford a hotel for a night. Geez. Not the jerk. The best she can do is ask parents for a second chance and promise to get a hotel next time. And I agree, having sex in your parents' house with them in the house is not the way. Wonder what the hookups think of that. Wait, did your parents tell her no having guys over specifically? Was she trying to get around it on a gender-based technicality? If so, laughing out loud. Up next. My brother played the victim after his fourth affair ended a marriage, so I told him why he was the problem. I'm a 24-year-old female, and my brother Rami is a 40-year-old male. We recently had a family gathering, and Rami came to visit after almost 2 years. It was a big deal for everyone because he's the oldest brother and also the first grandchild. He came alone without his wife, and that's when he told us they got divorced. The reason? He cheated on her. The thing is, this is his second marriage and his fourth serious relationship. He cheated in every single one. At this point, my family almost expects it. Whenever he says he broke up or got divorced, we already know what probably happened. Every time he starts a new relationship, he promises he's changed. He says he won't do it again, that this woman is different and all that. But it always ends the same way. After the family gathering ended and everyone went home, it was just me, my parents, and Rami. He was sitting with my mom at the dining table talking about the divorce, how his ex-wife found out, and how he really tried to stop himself. For context, my relationship with him has always been very formal because of the age gap and how I was raised. But that wasn't the worst part. In my family, younger sisters are expected to be very respectful and formal with older brothers. We were never close. It's basically just, "Hi, how are you?" and "How's work?" That's it. Then I heard him say to my mom, "I don't know why this keeps happening every time. I just want a normal, happy marriage with the right woman." That made me furious. I got cheated on once by my first love, and I know that feeling. I'm still trying to move on. So I looked at him and said, "Maybe if you keep your dick inside your pants, you'll find the woman of your dreams." My mom gasped, and my brother widened his eyes. He was speechless because I never talked to him like that. I ran to my room and slammed the door. It's been 2 weeks. I'm avoiding my parents and him. My mom told me she is also mad and won't talk to me. She says what I did was so disrespectful, and I need to apologize to him in front of every family member at the next gathering. Mind you, it was only me, him, and Mom when I said that. It felt so unfair hearing him talk like he was just unlucky when he was the one who cheated every single time. I don't feel guilty about it. I wanted to say more, but I was overwhelmed and ran away to my room and cried. The community response was intense, with one person receiving 942 upvotes for saying, "Not the jerk." When men get coddled and told they are perfect no matter what, you end up with someone like your brother, a constant victim of his own consequences, who makes others around him suffer too. Another perspective, with 666 upvotes, warned that these answers are often filtered through a lens that might not be culturally helpful for the original poster's specific situation. Finally, another commenter added, "Not the jerk. Your brother is 40 years old and has a serial pattern of infidelity spanning 4 serious relationships. He isn't unlucky or a victim of circumstance. He is the active architect of his own misery. The fact that your family is more upset about your tone than his repetitive betrayal of women says a lot about their priorities and why he is the way he is today." Up next, my mom said I needed her permission to invite my future mother-in-law wedding dress shopping. I booked a wedding dress appointment for me and my mom and invited my fiancé's mom to join us. This is the first appointment after my engagement, so it is low stakes, just a fun time to try on some dresses. My fiancé's mom has 2 sons and no daughters, and my fiancé and I are the first to get engaged out of her kids. I wanted to include her in this moment because we have a great relationship, and I knew it would mean a lot to her. I also want her there. When I told my mom I had invited her, my mom flipped out. My mom said she should have been included in that decision and was mad that I didn't ask her permission. She has been incredibly passive and hung up on me when I was trying to explain that I wanted both of them there. For more context, she has been the least excited about this wedding, which my dad, fiancé, and sister have all noticed. She is now ghosting me after I apologized for hurting her feelings. She is making me feel incredibly guilty, even though there will be many more intimate mother-daughter moments. Am I the jerk for not including my mom in the choice of inviting my mother-in-law? But then the comments started pouring in. A reply from True Believer 14 with 770 upvotes put it bluntly. "If your mom has not been that excited about your wedding, She was looking for an excuse to start a fight with you. You don't need your mom's permission to invite your mother-in-law or anyone else. Another commenter, tends to forget stuff, shared a perspective with over 300 upvotes. My daughter-in-law invited me. It was so special, and I was forever thrilled to be included. Her mother and grandmother are both entitled, mean women. I literally sat in between them to try and keep them from being jerks. You deserve to invite who makes you happy. Finally, Spare Butterfly 213, with 200 upvotes, added, "Your mom can get over herself. Go with your mother-in-law and have a fun time." I feel like your mom was looking for a reason to make you feel guilty. Up next. My husband's happiness is costing our family my career, our support system, and the $10,000 we need for his fresh start. He has been begging me all year to let him quit, and I have been supportive. All I ask is that he has another job lined up that isn't too much of a pay cut that could hurt us financially. His response to this is that all I care about is money and not his happiness. We have 2 children, so being able to pay our bills is kind of important. Well, he was offered a job 4 hours away from where we currently live. We would be leaving behind our support system. I would be starting my career over in a new market, and we would be halting our home buying process. But he would be happy. So, we're going to make the move. However, this past month, we have been arguing at least once a week about him quitting his job early. We are not moving until July 10th, and he would not be starting his new job until August. We need at least $10,000 saved up to be able to make this move and supplement his lost income for the month he will be out of work. In order for us to have enough money saved up, we both need to work pretty much up until the day we leave. Today's argument is this. His job only needs 3 chefs. But that wasn't the worst part. One had a surgery scheduled and would be out until we move, which meant they had to hire someone. Well, the coworker canceled her surgery, and now they have an extra person, and my husband is worried he will be fired and just wants to quit instead. Update. I have signed us up for couples therapy. We both have a lot that we need to work through. One response put it bluntly. So many red flags. You are uprooting your life for the sake of his happiness and leaving your support system. You really need to do some serious thinking about this move. What happens when he hates his new job? Sounds like a man that still has the mindset of a child who just does not want to work. Another reader weighed in. You are not the jerk. Not liking your job is not a good enough reason to quit if you cannot pay your bills without it. I would wager a guess that most people do not like their jobs, but we suck it up because that is part of being an adult. I would reconsider moving for this man. It sounds like he is the only one who actually wants to move, but there is no guarantee he will like his new job there either. Finally, one user shared a perspective on the logistics. I am wondering why you would risk losing your home, your career, and your support system for his job. Is he the main breadwinner? If they fire him, he can collect unemployment. If he quits, he cannot. Up next, I invented a Tattle Phone for classroom complaints, and it got 150 in the first week. Anyone who knows kids in that age range knows they love to tattle. All day long, I hear things like, "Teacher, Kinsey picked her nose and ate it." "Teacher, Johnny is looking at me and I don't want him to." "Teacher, at lunch today, Steve was chewing with his mouth open." It goes on and on. Sometimes the kids will race to me to get their tattles in first. It was getting to a point where I would hear up to 20 tattles every single day. So I decided to come up with a solution. I bought a voice recorder shaped like a rotary phone for my class. When I brought this to my class, I started by saying, "Okay, class, lately I've been noticing a lot of tattling going on. It's getting a little silly. Let's go over what a tattletale is versus when we need to talk to an adult." When explaining when to tell an adult, I said, if you are getting hurt or you see your friend getting hurt, then you should always tell a teacher. Then I gave the examples of tattletales like the ones listed above. I even made a game out of it called Tattletales versus Tell a Teacher. Then I presented the phone. I showed them how to use it. Then I explained the times they are allowed to use it. And it was a hit. The first week of using it, I had over 150 tattletales, all ranging from someone picking their nose, someone passing gas at recess, someone getting ketchup on their shirt, and so on. But not everyone was a fan of the new system. Well, one day I received a call from a disgruntled parent. They said, "Charlie came to me and said you wouldn't listen when he wanted to tell you what someone did." Charlie's tattle was that someone was making faces at him. I explained what I did with this Tattle Phone, and she degraded me, saying, "You're not listening to the kids." I told my coworkers about my new strategy, and most are on my side. One teacher has said that this can make it seem like I don't want to listen to the kids. I personally think I am in the right. Of course, if a child comes to me with an emergency, I will always listen and jump into action. And I made that clear to my students. But before I came up with this plan, I swear I was stopping every 5 seconds of lesson time with a child telling me that someone was making fart noises in class. Am I the jerk? One person responded that this is genius. People who haven't spent 6 hours straight with 25-year-olds have no idea how draining the constant reporting can be. You aren't ignoring them. You're actually teaching them a vital life skill: prioritizing. Learning the difference between "my friend is bleeding" and "Johnny made a weird face" is a huge part of emotional development. If anything, the phone gives them a way to vent that energy without killing the flow of the entire class. That disgruntled parent is overreacting. If you stop to validate every single fart noise complaint, you'd never actually get around to teaching them how to read or write. Don't let one annoyed mom ruin a system that clearly works for the other 90% of the kids. Stick to your guns. Another person shared a similar method. One of the teachers at a local elementary school had a tattle notebook. The kids had to take the time to write out their concern. It stopped a lot of the unnecessary stuff.